What is up, guys? In this video, we're featuring the best animal videos that we uploaded in the year 2022. We hope you enjoy. Today, we're gonna look at an animal that you might not believe that it used to live on Earth. Everybody knows the T-Rex, Megalodon, Titanoboa, but you most likely have never seen this thing before. This is a Mosasaurus. If you've seen the movie Jurassic World, this thing is in that movie. The thing that eats the shark is a Mosasaurus. This thing lived in the dinosaur ages, and at the same time as the dinosaurs, around 66 million years ago, they went extinct. For the first time, they found the skull of this thing in Maastricht, Netherlands, in a chalk quarry. At first, they thought it was a whale or a crocodile. Then 100 years later, they found out that this thing is a giant lizard, and it lived in the ocean. This thing was not small at all. It had a length of 18 meters, weird looking teeth that each one was like a sword. And it could open its jaw just like a lizard. Just imagine this thing and imagine it opening its mouth like a lizard. You guys already know the Megalodon, the king of the sharks that lived in warm waters. But this thing lived in all types of waters because the fossils were found everywhere on Earth, even Antarctica. Megalodon, with that size, thought it was the king of the oceans, but if it saw this thing, it had to bow down. Why? Because the Mosasaurus would easily defeat the Megalodon. Megalodon is lucky that it didn't live at the same time as this thing. Scientists believe if the Mosasaurus didn't go extinct, the Megalodon wouldn't exist either, because this wouldn't allow it. Its main food source were sharks. If it stayed, it wouldn't allow sharks to get bigger and bigger and turn into the Megalodon. Sharks are scary creatures and they're not afraid of anything. It has lived on Earth for 450 million years, and you can say that it hasn't changed much. You can say sharks have seen all of history because it has seen almost all the animals that have gone extinct. So we realized sharks aren't afraid of anything except the Mosasaurus. When a shark confronted one of these, it would run like a little rat. Sharks should have gone extinct because of the Mosasaurus, but when you look at the speed of them, they can go as fast as 50 kilometers an hour. But sharks were a little bit faster, meaning around 52 kilometers an hour. It would barely escape. Most animals, to make themselves better, they go through evolution, and this is a natural thing. An animal that didn't go through evolution as much as the other ones and didn't change much are sharks. Why through all these years, this creature didn't change at all? An idea suggests that it didn't need to change because the Mosasaurus was a short period of time, and except that, it didn't have any enemies. Mosasaurus had a short life on Earth, but compared to Earth's life, they only lived in the oceans for 16 million years. Then they went extinct. And that didn't give them much time to make the sharks go extinct or go through evolution and turn into something better. If you guys remember in our previous video, we said the Komodo dragon is the biggest lizard in the world. But we didn't say it was the biggest lizard in the history of the world, because the largest lizard in the history of Earth is the Mosasaurus. Mosasaurus was a lizard that lived in the oceans, but to breathe, it had to come up like a whale. They say around the time the Mosasaurus lived in the oceans, there was no shortage of food. meaning any type of food they wanted, they could have it. One day it would eat sharks, one day turtles, one day whales, and sometimes when they would get bored, the bigger Mosasaurus would eat the smaller ones. You could kind of say that they helped their own extinctions by doing this. The way Mosasaurus hunt their prey was different from sharks. The sharks would bite and tear their prey apart and go do a lap around. But Mosasaurus had such a strong jaw that anything it grabbed with its jaw, it would not let go. There was no creature that could escape this teeth and jaw power. Scientists believe that 150 million years ago, lizards entered the water. The only predator in the waters were sharks. And if there was no sharks in sight, that means there was no threat. When the lizards entered the waters, they went through evolution and got bigger and bigger. And it took around 70 million years for the lizard to turn into the Mosasaurus. And that made it become the king of the oceans. But it didn't realize that sharks could swim 2 kilometers faster than them. Scientists believe that predators should be in waters and on land. If they're not there, it messes up the ecosystem. In the oceans, if there are no creatures like sharks or orcas, evolution stops in other fishes, and after a while, the sea creatures will turn into the same thing. And that is because there is no danger, and this is not good for the ecosystem. It's kinda unlucky that the Mosasaurus left so early, because if it was still in the oceans, the animals that lived around it would be something else now, because this thing would make everything in the oceans turn into something else. And most importantly, the sharks. If this thing was still around, sharks would be faster and bigger and stronger. The evolution for sharks would go in this direction. So one way, it had to get faster so they could run away from the Mosasaurus, or they would get stronger so they would be more powerful so they can put up a fight. But this same asteroid that wiped out Earth 66 million years ago also made the Mosasaurus go extinct. But it also wiped out more than 3/4 of the Earth's population. Some people believe that evolution is like 200, 300, 1000, 2000 years time. In those times, there could be small changes, but huge changes take a lot of time. Like for example, the lizard that entered the water, it took it 70 million years for it to turn into a Mosasaurus. We don't really need it, but if we needed it, we would be tall as the Empire State Building. But we don't really need this height, so it's not gonna happen. But be sure that our brains in this time will go through evolution and get better. One of the first cats in the world was the Proilurus. The fossil of this animal shows that it lived on Earth around 25 million years ago. And scientists believe that the cat family started right here with this animal. They spread all around the world and they adapted to their environment. One place it turned into a panther, another place it turned into a tiger. One place they needed a king and it turned into the king of the jungle. And hundreds of other types of cats, which most of them are extinct. In the history of cats, a lot of different types came up but couldn't hang and they went extinct. Why did they go extinct? Most of it was that they couldn't adapt to the place they were from. Basically, they couldn't make themselves stronger, faster, or adapt to their area, and that is why they went extinct. But in this video, we want to go visit one of those cats and see how it began and how it lives. A beautiful, powerful, and majestic animal. Tiger, an animal that has been here for around 2 million years. Tigers adapted to where they're from and basically turned into what they are today. And turned into 9 different types of tigers. 3 of these tigers have been extinct, and one of those tigers is the Caspian or Persian tiger. The Persian tiger is very similar to its cousin, and it's the Siberian tiger. The Siberian tiger is still around, and it's the biggest tiger. Another branch of tiger is the one that went to India, and it turned into the Bengal tiger. The Bengal tiger is smaller than the Siberian tiger, and since there's plenty of food where they're from, there's more of them. 50% of the tigers in the world are Bengal tigers, and they attack humans a lot. Today's statistics show every year 50 people die because of Bengal tigers. You might say that's a lot of people, but in comparison to elephants, which kills 350 people a year, it's pretty much nothing. You might ask, why does the Bengal tiger kill so many people, but the Siberian one doesn't kill any? And the reason is that the Bengal tiger lives somewhere where the population is over 1 billion. The Siberian tiger doesn't even see people. It's good to know that tigers are the biggest cats on Earth right now. But it's not the biggest cat in the history of the Earth. The biggest cat in history is the American lion. The American lion could weigh up to 420 kilos, and it had a length of 4 meters. But the last one of these died around 11,000 years ago. And right now, the biggest cat on Earth that's living is a tiger. A regular tiger, like the Bengal tiger, has a weight of around 200 kilograms. But the biggest tiger, which is the Siberian tiger, just like an American lion, could be as long as 4 meters. But the weight is less than the American lion, and it weighs 300 kilos. Tiger is the most powerful cat of all time as well. You might ask, what about the lion? Lions are strong, but they don't have the muscles of a tiger. A tiger's slap could easily defeat a lion. As you guys know, cats hate water, but tigers are the opposite, and they love it. And tigers adapted in a way that they go into water a lot. And its paws have flaps as well, so it can swim faster and easier. And you should know they are fast swimmers. If a tiger is chasing you, do not go in the water, because there's no chance of staying alive. The fastest swimmer in the world is Michael Phelps, and he can swim at 7.5 kilometers an hour. But the speed of a tiger in water goes up to 32 kilometers an hour. Big paws, strong muscles, and the flaps in between the paws move this animal like a motorboat. You've probably seen white tigers as well. These are Bengal tigers, but they went through a mutation. These animals are not albino, but their genetics caused them to not produce the orange color. People that like to make money off of animals, they do something and make their babies come out white as well, so they can sell them for way more money. We talked about all this tiger, but what tiger? There are not many left. In the entire world, there's only 3,900 tigers left. In the year 1900, there was 100,000 tigers on the world. The yellow part of the map you see is where the tigers used to live. When you look at this map, you see they were around the Caspian Sea and they went as north as Siberia. But the one that lived around India turned into this, and the one that lived in Siberia turned into this one. But because of humans, they made over 96% of these animals disappear. And humans are completely at fault in this. Deforestation, ruining animal habitats, hunting, and pollution caused 96% of these animals to die out in 100 years. As you guys know, the Caspian or Persian tiger is completely extinct, and the only tiger that's similar to it is the Siberian tiger. But the Siberian tiger can't live around the Caspian right now. The last Persian tiger died around 2003. It basically gave a warning to the world, and people realized that all these tigers are dying, and that is why people are really careful now. And they're doing everything they can so the numbers don't decline anymore. They're also trying to get them away from humans, or actually getting humans away from them so they can live in peace. Animal lovers say tigers should not be in zoo, or any type of animal should not be in a zoo. It should be living in the wild around its own kind. I want to say something, but I don't want to embarrass the king. You should know that lion, king of the jungle, cannot defeat a tiger in any way. Meaning, a tiger can easily defeat a lion. But you should know, in the wild, these two do not even bother looking at each other. But it has happened that in a zoo, they ended up in the same cage and they fought over something. Then the people go and see the tiger has killed the lion. This is another bad thing from zoos. I would hate myself to go to a zoo, pay money, and go see an animal in jail. What do you guys think? Please comment. Around 60 million years ago, the biggest snake that the world has ever seen was roaming the earth. The name of this monster was Titanoboa. When this scary reptile was hungry, it would eat other reptiles with one bite. Even crocodiles were not safe around this thing. If it was hungry, it would even attack birds. Meaning, even if you had wings, you were still in danger if this thing was around. What happens if this thing is reborn and brought back? How much would it have to eat? What kind of a threat would it be to humans? And how big is it gonna be? This fossil was founded in Colombia. By looking at the skeleton, they found out that it was 15 meters long and it weighed more than 1 ton. This thing was 3 times the biggest snakes we have today, the green anaconda. This small monster lives in South America and has no venom. These things wrap around the prey and strangle them, and there is no need for venom when you have this strength. If they strangle anything, they're pretty much dead. But let's get back to Titanoboa. The width of this monster used to be around 1 meter. Just think about it, if it was passing by you, it would look like a train is passing by. But scientists and archaeologists haven't found out if this thing lived on land or it was always in water. But they found out that Titanoboa wouldn't stay far away from the water, and if it went on land, it would return to the water pretty quick. And they also believe that its weight and size made it extremely hard for it to move around on land, and that is why it had an easier time in the water. For example, when a blue whale gets washed up on land, it can't even move around one bit, but in the ocean, it moves around like a ginormous fish. If this thing comes back, we really have to be careful. If you're in the jungle, you shouldn't worry about it because this thing can't go on trees. And even if it manages to get off a tree, it would fall immediately. Scientists believe that this snake was in the Boidea family. These family of snakes don't have venom, pretty much like the anaconda. So it doesn't have venom, it can't be that dangerous, right? Although it doesn't have any venom, it still has its teeth. This thing for sure knows how to use its teeth. Anything it wants to hunt, first it bites it. If this thing's teeth grips anything, it's pretty much over, because it locks its jaws and you can't even open it with a forklift. Then it starts wrapping its body around its prey, and with all that pressure, every single bone in that thing's body is gonna break, and it pretty much turns it into a smoothie. Just imagine a 1-ton rope with the width of 1 meter is wrapping around you. It doesn't even need to strangle you, just the weight alone will crush you. Scientists believe that this thing could also kill dinosaurs. It would go around the body of a dinosaur and strangle it. Although it couldn't break the bones, it would stop blood flow, and the dinosaur would pass out. And after the dinosaur passed out, it could easily eat it. The Titanoboa fossils they found showed them that the jaw of this thing was enormous and it opened more than its body. And the reason is that the jaw was behind the skull, and that allowed it to open it extremely wide. So this shows us that if this thing wants to eat a 6-foot-tall man, it just has to swallow. So there's no need to bite, strangle, and take all this time. Titanoboa's main food source was crocodiles. Crocodiles with a length of 6 meters. And whenever this thing got bored, it would eat giant turtles as well. The body of this giant creature shows us that every day it needed at least 40 kilograms of food. But you should know that snakes don't eat every day, once a week, or when they're really hungry, twice a week. And when a Titanoboa ate a 6-meter crocodile, it was full for about 2 weeks probably. If these things come back, humans have to say goodbye to all rivers, swamps, lakes, and everything else. And if you end up swimming in these waters, you might notice a giant opening with giant teeth swallow you up like a piece of spaghetti. But the good thing is, it doesn't live around us, unless you live in a tropical area. And that's why the fossil was founded in Colombia. I got bad news if you live in Florida, and the reason for that is, there's crocodiles there, the weather is hot, and it rains. This thing hates the cold. It likes to live in hot, swampy areas. People have spotted giant crocodiles when they were golfing in Florida. You're just playing golf, and on the other side of the field, you just see a giant crocodile walking. There are swamps around the golf courses as well. And if Titanoboa is alive, golfers are gonna see something else freaky. All of a sudden, they're gonna spot something long and thick crawling around the field. You better hope it ate the crocodile and it's full, because if it's not full, it's coming for you. If you look at it in an environmental perspective, it's not really gonna be a good thing if this thing is back. Because if it comes back, it's gonna kill other animals. Animals like cats, deers, raccoon, moose, and there's a chance it could mess up the ecosystem. So we are pretty much better off as this thing doesn't come back. Even though this thing is not around, but when you go in tropical areas, you should be careful. In 2018, meaning just 3 years ago, a lady in Indonesia was eaten up by a python snake. Indonesia is in the equator, and that's why these snakes exist around there. It has giant snakes, but not like the Titanoboa. There are a lot of rumors about this giant snake, but none of them have turned out to be right. Some people believe that they're still alive and they lived in the depth of the ocean. But none have been seen, and it doesn't make sense that something this big is still in the waters. So what do you guys think? Are there monsters like Titanoboa roaming on Earth without us noticing? Please comment. A lot of you suggested to make a video about crows. Today, we want to make a video about that and get to know everything about this amazing bird. We have all types of crows and ravens, and they live everywhere humans live. This bird, being one of the smartest creatures on Earth, made it get a bad name. This bird is the smartest bird on the planet, and being this smart caused it to have a bad name in the world. You could find negative stories about this bird in pretty much every culture. Some say this animal is the devil. Some say it came from hell. Some people say it brings bad luck. But you guys have to know that these are all fake and they have nothing to do with crows. A crow is just a clever little bird. All black color, and the stealing it does, and having a deep tone in its voice caused it for everybody to be afraid of it. But since science took over in this era, people realized that this is just a normal bird. It's just an opportunist and a smart bird. And if you hear its voice, it's kind of cute. One of the coolest things a crow does is that it picks a partner and stays with them for the rest of its life. She's Augusta von Bayern. She has a PhD in biology and crows. One of the amazing things about this bird is that it has a really sharp eye. If it's sitting on your left and you look towards the right with your eyeball, this bird can detect where you're looking and where your eyeball is located. A crow's eye is similar to a human eye, and it pretty much has the same layout as a human eye. And when scientists want to examine its eye, it's a lot easier than other birds. In England, when there was a group of crows flying around, instead of saying it's a group of crows, they would say it's a murder of crows. But they don't really believe in that anymore. If you're just chilling by your window and you put a piece of wood in front of the window and look at the piece of food, a crow will approach you, but it realizes that you're looking at the piece of food, and that is why he approaches slowly. As it's looking out for you, it slowly gets closer and closer to the tree. Then it picks it up and books it. But if you look towards the left, the crow realizes that you're looking another direction and calmly takes the treat and runs away. And you can't find this in any other bird. There's no other bird that can look at your eyes and notice where you're looking. Back in the day, they would say, "Why is there crows in the graveyard? These are the devil birds." But now we realize that there's all types of birds in a graveyard because it's a pretty green area and the birds can easily find the food they're looking for in these types of areas. But when the crows are around, you don't really pay attention to the other birds because they take all the attention usually. Another reason that this bird has a bad name is that just like a vulture, it eats dead animals, even dead humans. Because in old warfare, when there was a lot of dead bodies, you would find crows next to the vultures. If you could turn a crow into a pet, it would be the smartest bird in the world because it's very strategic and doesn't do anything without a plan. And unlike other birds, it doesn't put itself in danger for some food. Just like we said, a crow eats anything. You can go from insects, worms, fruits, meat, and anything it finds. Just like parrots, crows can copy humans. If you don't believe me, you could look it up on YouTube and see how it imitates humans. I'll put the link in the description. Another thing scientists figured out about this bird is that just like elephants and dolphins, it could remember faces. And if it has seen a person before, it will remember them. If you bothered them, and if it sees you the next time, it will avoid you. You really can't keep crows as a pet, because any opportunity it finds, it will run away. Because it doesn't really need your help to find food, it will find it on itself. Unlike dolphins and elephants, they don't really perform a funeral. But if one of them dies, they huddle around the dead body to find a cause of death. And if there's a danger, they'll be careful. After finding the threat, they leave the body on the ground and fly away. And they do not eat the dead body. Just like we said, crows find a partner and live with them for the rest of their life. But if another crow from another group gets close to the female crow, the male viciously attacks that crow. Not like a normal attack, but an attack to death. In a way, if the other bird doesn't fly away, it will for sure die. It gets angry like a rooster and wants to protect its partner, and you could say the other bird stands no chance. Crows remember positive things as well. A lady from the United States tells the story, and she says, "There's a lot of crows by my workplace, and I eat my lunch outside. One time I was eating outside and noticed there is 7 or 8 crows by a trash can, and they're trying to bring something out of it. I went there to see what's going on, and I noticed that they're trying to pull out a box of salad. I pulled the box out, put it on the trash can and opened it up, and walked away from it. There were 8 crows. 4 of them flew up to the tree to stand guard. Then the other 4 started eating from the box." The lady continues and says the 4 crows that were on top of the tree kept looking at me, and the other 4 continued to eat. When they got full, they flew up to the tree. Then the other 4 came down to eat. They ate until the box was empty. The cool part is that in this box, there were some grapes too. At the end, one of the crows brought a piece of grape, dropped it in front of me, and flew away. Holly says, "These birds noticed me, and every time I went outside to eat, they would bring me a gift. Leaves, pieces of sticks, and even if they couldn't find anything, they would bring cigarette butts for me." You could say it's kind of like a dog in that department and wants to thank you for what you're doing. There are a bunch of crows everywhere in the world, and they're mostly black, and they look very similar. Crows live from 10 years old to 22 years old, and it depends on the place it lives at. The oldest crow is the Australian crow, which can live up to 22 years. The shortest life is the American crow, and it lives up to 8 years. Not only does the Australian crow have a longer lifespan, but it's also way bigger than the American one. What do you guys think about crows? Do you think that they're no good for the environment? If you think that, you are wrong. Just like vultures, they're the vacuum cleaners of nature. Anything that could create disease in the wild, these things clean it up. One of the biggest creatures that lived in the oceans is the Megalodon. A shark that's twice the size of a T-Rex. When this thing opened its mouth, a car could go in there. It could slurp a few people up like it's nothing. Fortunately, it's extinct, even though a lot of people disagree and say it's still here, and it lives in the Mariana Trench. It's been years that people on the internet have stories about the Megalodon. Some people say they've seen it, some people post photoshopped images, and some people say I've seen it with my own eyes. Some people say this is in the Mariana Trench, but we can't check it out ourselves. Because the water pressure is so high, we can't go without equipment. On the other hand, scientists say no, there's no way, and Megalodon does not live down there. And they say, if something this big lived down there, we would have for sure seen it. If the Megalodon actually lived in today's oceans, we would have for sure seen an image or a video of it. Because it's so big, you can't miss it. And some people say it's for sure there, and some people say absolutely not. The scientists that say it's not there say that even if it lived in the oceans, it would never go in the Mariana Trench because the Megalodon hates cold water, and in the Mariana Trench, the lower you go, the colder it gets. And even if it was there, we would have for sure seen something about it, like a half-eaten prey, or a full skeleton of it. The only thing paleontologists have found from the Megalodon is its teeth. And it's not only a few, there's a lot of them around the world. And the reason for that is, sharks' teeth recycle, meaning the teeth falls out and it gets replaced right away. Pretty much opposite of humans that we only do this once. Every 2 weeks, a shark's teeth falls out. If we want to talk about shark teeth, we're gonna be here all day, but let's look at some facts about shark teeth. A shark's mouth usually has about 3,000 teeth. Humans have 1 row of teeth, but sharks have 5 rows. And you could say hundreds of these teeth fall out a day and gets replaced over time. They say in a shark's lifetime, 30,000 teeth gets replaced, and if you didn't know a lifespan of a shark, it's 20 to 30 years. So now we know why there's so many Megalodon teeth across the oceans, and that's why it was a shark, but not a regular shark. Except the Megalodon teeth, nothing else has been found. That's why we don't have a lot of info about it, but just from the teeth, we could see that there was a giant shark living in the oceans back then. Paleontologists believe the Megalodon showed up around 16 million years ago, meaning one of the creatures that came after the dinosaurs went extinct. The length of a Megalodon was 14 to 20 meters, and that is why when it got hungry, it attacked the largest thing it could find. Like killer whales or dolphins. I mean, it was pretty understandable because this thing weighed between 13 to 30 tons and it had to fill its stomach somehow. But remember, this is not the largest thing in the ocean because the largest thing in the oceans is still alive today. The blue whale. The weight of a blue whale can go up to 173 tons, and it could be as long as 30 meters. And this size and this weight has made the blue whale the biggest thing in the ocean. But let's get back to the Megalodon. They say the Megalodon disappeared around 2 million years ago, basically meaning it went extinct. But when scientists think on why this thing went extinct, they have no clue. But one theory suggests that at that time, there was barely any food in the oceans, but we don't know the reason why. But it was a time where dolphins and whales were not anywhere to be found, and this thing would stay hungry because small fishes weren't gonna do the job. They say the reason there was not enough food for the Megalodon is that the earth was cooling down and dolphins and whales moved up to colder water. And Megalodon with this size can't stand cold water and couldn't follow them. Megalodon's food slowly turned into small fishes, so basically it stayed hungry. So it doesn't really matter how it went extinct, but if it was still here, our oceans would be extremely different. They say the Megalodon needed about 1,100 kilograms of food each day. Now imagine a creature like this roamed the earth now. Any fish that had a little bit of meat on it, this thing would eat it. There will be no more fish left for the fishermen. And not only would they not be able to get any fish, there will be another threat. And that is, when they caught fish and wanted to bring the net up, the Megalodon would attack the net and the whole ship. Cause even right now, killer whales attack fishing boats, and they usually attack when they're pulling up the fish from the sea. But yeah, the killer whale doesn't stand a chance against the ship, but the Megalodon would easily destroy it, and it could easily pull down on the net, break the crane, and flip the ship. If the Megalodon was still here, we would have to say goodbye to the beaches because the Megalodon comes close to the beach. When the Megalodon wants to give birth, it comes into shallow waters, and warm water beaches are the perfect place for the Megalodon. Humans that look like us started to show up around 200,000 years ago. We can't put an exact number because there are different theories, but 200,000 years ago is a good number. Humans back then went everywhere on Earth and they left their mark. Don't think they're only in Africa or Asia. Humans like us have been found everywhere on this Earth, and this whole time, all around this Earth, an animal was always alongside us. Wolves. The dogs you are used to seeing didn't exist before. But every single dog you see came from a wolf. One of the biggest threats to ancient humanity was wolves. And it's really weird that out of the biggest enemy, man's best friend came along. How can it be possible that a vicious animal like a wolf can turn to this lovely animal? History shows that around 100,000 years ago, humans like us took over Eurasia. And this whole time around this area, the biggest enemy to humans lived there too. And humans trying to counter these animals had a hard job because they had powers that humans didn't have. They can smell humans from 1.5 kilometers away, work in groups, and their jaw has a power of 140 kilos, and it can easily break bones. These wolves have a lot of power and can defeat the biggest animals. How? Because they worked in groups. But they still work in groups. With howling, they communicate and surround the prey. Wherever the prey goes, the wolf from the behind attacks. The ones in the front just watch. This tactic causes the wolf to not take any damage, because if the one in the front attacks, there's a slight chance they will get hurt. But the one from the back can surprise them, and the prey cannot hurt the wolf. But this style of hunting wasn't unique to wolves. The number one competitor to them, meaning humans, hunted the same way. They would surround like a mammoth and hunt it down. Basically the same style as the wolves. But these vicious packs of wolves weren't the only ones. There were some wolves that didn't work in groups, and they lived alone and hunted by themselves. A lone wolf is different, and they don't act vicious because they know they are alone. They're especially scared of humans. Scientists believe that a scared lone wolf caused it to turn into a dog. They slowly started to not be scared of humans and got closer to us. When humans were eating and had leftovers and they saw this animal staring at them, they would throw a piece at them as well. It was at this moment that man's best friend was forming. A dog, the most loyal and awesome best friend. When the wolves started to domesticate, they were turning into a different animal from regular wolves. They got closer and closer to humans, but they still looked the same. This picture you see is Jaguar. It's 18,000 years old. They found this in the ice in Siberia, and it was still in one piece. They can't really determine if it's a wolf or a dog. The teeth look more like a wolf. When scientists studied wolves back then, they noticed that the domesticated wolves lived a lot longer than the wild ones. From now on forward, this animal gets friendlier and more domesticated. Domesticated wolves started to help humans and help them with hunting. They would find a prey for humans, and then the humans would go hunt. They were also good guard animals. When an intruder showed up, the wolves would either attack or make a lot of noise so everybody hears it. Scientists believe that the first domesticated carnivore animal is a dog. And also, they believe the first domesticated animal ever is a goat. These wolves quickly got attached to humans. Not only were they less wild, they got smarter, and they would respect their owners and listen to their commands. You must know that these are not dogs yet, they're domesticated wolves. But from 33,000 years and on, you could see the difference between wolves and dogs. Meaning, when you look at them, you can notice a difference. First change is that the snout got smaller, they got shorter, and their teeth weren't as sharp as they used to be. Throughout all these years, when wolves were turning into dogs, in different regions, they had different styles. One had a small snout, one had a big snout. One was shorter, one was taller. The ones that ran a lot, throughout the evolution, they got taller and skinnier. But the ones that were standing around got shorter and more muscular. But these are taking thousands of years. It doesn't happen overnight. Dogs were man's best friend for so long that when we get to civilizations, they are found everywhere, and you can tell they are respected by the humans back then. In ancient Egypt, they liked dogs so much that they turned them into mummies. In ancient Persia, dogs were also respected, and there's also statues found. This is a Persian Mastiff statue that was found in Persepolis, and now it's in the National Museum of Iran. They estimate that this statue is around 2,400 years old. This style of dog is still found in Iran, and it's one of the biggest and strongest dogs in the world. They also call it the Sarabi Mastiff. These dogs came from wolves and got better and smarter until we get to the 19th century. In the 19th century, United Kingdom had the most power because they took over a lot of the countries. The reason is that they had control over a lot of parts of the world, and they had a lot of different types of dogs. Different types of dogs became a hobby for the Englishmen. English people collected all types of dogs from around the world and mixed them up. Hundreds of different types of dogs. All types of sizes and looks. All these dogs you see came from a wolf, but these little ones have a lot of health issues as well. Most small dogs have breathing problems and have weak spines, and they give them body pain. Dogs have been living with humans for so long that they pretty much can't live without them. To continue life, dogs really need humans around. Because all this time dogs have been spending with humans, it made them act like human kids. They believe that a dog is pretty much like a 2-year-old child. They understand everything, but they can't talk. They act cute just because they have a brain of like a 2-year-old. Dogs love their owner so much that they notice every little detail about them. If they're sad, they know this. If they're happy, they notice. Even if they're angry, they notice. If the owner is sad, they try their best to cheer him up. If they're angry, calm them down. And if they're happy, play with them. They believe when you have a dog and play with them and love them, your body and the dog's body produces oxytocin. Oxytocin happens when you love somebody. Meaning, if you like your dad and you go and hug them, you produce oxytocin, and it's kind of a relaxing feeling. Dogs are expert at giving love to owners. Just like we said, dogs are attached to humans and they need them around. Look at these stray dogs. In most countries, they collect these stray dogs, fix them, and they try to find an owner for them. And that is why, in a lot of countries, you don't see stray dogs around. But anyways, if you see a stray dog, you should help them out. If you visit the Komodo island and hear strange noises around the trees, do not go and check it out. Do you know why? Because there's a slight chance you're gonna confront the most dangerous and biggest lizard in the world. A lizard that's named after a dragon, or the Komodo dragon. When you confront it and look at it in the eyes, you never think it's gonna run this fast at you. A reptile that can speed up to 20 kilometers per hour. In our last video where we talked about dragons, we said there's one type of dragon that lives on Earth, and it's the Komodo dragon. A reptile with strong muscles, shark-like teeth, and a strength to strangle you like a wrestler. The people that are scared of lizards, be careful. This thing can go up to 3 meters in length and can weigh up to 140 kilograms. Unfortunately, or actually fortunately, you can't find this thing everywhere. You can only find them in some islands in Indonesia. And if you look at the Indonesian map, it's over here. The Indonesian government takes care of them because there's only around 5,700 of them left. If you want to visit the Komodo island and look at this thing up close, you can. A lot of people love taking a risk and going to this island to visit this animal. And you should know that every year, over 176,000 people visit this island just to look at this thing. When you visit these islands, you have to sign a waiver. Like, first of all, you're not gonna do anything to these animals. And second of all, if they attack you, you are responsible. You enter these islands at your own risk. Because the dragons are all over the island, it's not like a zoo that it's fenced off. They are completely free and see you as a threat. Let's say we buy the ticket and enter the island. We all of a sudden see one attacking us. Can we even run away from this thing? Why do they say when it bites it's the most dangerous thing? And why, if we're running away, doing a zigzag motion is really helpful? The dragons really hate visitors. That is why people have to be really careful. However careful people are, they still attack. Like for the last 35 years, where visitors are allowed to go to these islands, 31 people have been attacked by Komodo dragons, and 5 of them died. But let's go back to that first question. If we go to these islands, what should we do to not get attacked? First of all, you have to know to not go anywhere alone because the Komodo dragons loves lonely things, and if it sees something alone, it will most likely attack. So be with your friends and family because the Komodo dragon hates groups of people. They say to not leave the main path because if you go around bushes and trees, the chances of that thing camping around the corner is high. If this creature is somewhere and you all of a sudden go and scare it, it will turn wild in a way you can't stop it. It could attack you, throw you down like a wrestler, and bite you. When it bites you, the story changes because the venom enters your body like a snake through the teeth. The venom is different from a snake's, but where you get bit, the blood would pour out like a waterfall. The Komodo's venom works in a way where it doesn't cause a blood clot, so the bleeding doesn't stop. This is exactly how it hunts its prey. They take a bite and go back and just wait. So much blood leaves the wound where the animal passes out, and that's when the Komodo dragon feasts. They've done tests where they mix the venom with the blood, and the blood doesn't cause a blood clot and stays smooth like water. And the nature of getting scared when you all of a sudden pull up to it comes from snakes. Because if you scare snakes, they get angry and attack you. You might ask, why did it come from snakes? What do snakes have to do with this? Because first of all, this thing is a reptile and it comes from the snake family. And another thing, the tongue is exactly like a snake. And just like a snake, the sense of smell comes from the tongue. When you enter this island, the first thing they tell you is that to not get close to the Komodo dragon. Because however scared you are, they're equally as scared as you. And if you get too close to it, it will attack you out of fear. Another dangerous trait this thing has, except its venom, is its sense of smell. It could sense blood from really far distances. And that is why, if a woman is going through her monthly cycles, they tell them you are not allowed on the island because this creature can sense blood from really far away, and they think the person bleeding is bleeding out and they are weak, and that is why they might attack. Except its teeth, it has another similarity to a shark, and that is its sense of smell to blood. Don't forget the zigzag motion when you're running away from this thing, because the only way you can run away from this is going in a zigzag motion. Because if you run in a straight line, that thing speeds up to 20 kilometers per hour and it will eventually catch up to you because you will run out of breath, but this thing can keep running. But if you go in a zigzag motion, that thing has a hard time turning. If you do a zigzag motion a couple times, it will stop chasing you. And also, if you're running away from this thing, do not go on the trees, because if you go up there, you're basically dead. That thing can climb a tree better than any human. When a Komodo bites a human, it's not gonna let it go, because it knows it bit you and you're bleeding, and any second you could pass out and collapse. That is why it will follow you. Anything you do to stop the bleeding, that thing is gonna be following you. It will follow you for kilometers until you collapse. The experts that deal with these animals all the time say, if it bites you, you should grab its jaw and open it with your hand. And don't let it inject you with its venom, because it doesn't have the strength of a crocodile and the jaw is really weak. But either way, if it bit you and you open its jaw, you still have to go to the doctor, because there's a slight chance that the venom got in your blood system. Professionals that are around this animal all day have a stick with two ends, and if the Komodo wants to get close to them, they just push it back with the stick. But they say regular people should not have a stick in their hand, because if you don't know what you're doing, they might get angry at you and attack. This is a really interesting animal, and fortunately they have their own place, and just like the Bengal tiger, they don't attack people all the time. And as you guys requested, this is the Komodo dragon. Please let us know on which animals you guys like to know about. Some groups don't get along, and they're always fighting with each other. But right here, we're not talking about people. People always have problems with each other, but they've only done this for a few thousand years. But there's another group that has been battling it for millions of years. This is World War Ant. We are very new onto this planet. You see this little ant? It has been here way longer than us, so it deserves its spot on the planet. Ants have been around for around 160 million years, and they're living peacefully. Actually no, with a bunch of wars. Right now, there's around 16,000 different types of ants, and their population is 1,250,000 times the human population. So for every one human, there's 1,250,000 ants. If you weigh every animal on the planet, 20% of that goes to ants. You have to know that ants have societies and they live with each other. One ant has no power, can't do anything, but when you add them to the hundreds of thousands or millions, they can do something. If you've seen our video about emergence on Unten Inc., you have to know that how powerful a group of things can get. When they live in a society, they basically have their own responsibility, and each of them does their job correctly. But this is one society of ant we're talking about. A little bit that way, there's another society that lives there. And just like the other one, they're running an organized society. And that is why they're always looking to expand. Either way, any society these ants live in, wars are a normal thing. You have to know that a colony of ants that has over 1 million ants, in a day, they could hunt down 500,000 insects and bring their dead bodies to the colony so they can store it for food later. Ants don't only kill smaller insects, they kill giant insects, even roaches that are way bigger than them. They also kill very small insects like termites. It's good to know that they also attack wasp nests, wasps that are way bigger than them. It's not like the wasps are not capable of fighting them, but they can't fight the huge group of them. They might be able to kill like 100 of them, but whenever 100 pulls up, 1,000 more come behind it. And that basically causes the nest to be completely destroyed. These ants are very brave about what they do. And when they're doing their job, they're not afraid of dying at all. When ants are working outside their colony, any insect they see, they attack. Other ants are a part of this as well, ants that are not part of this colony. You've seen in our video on emergence, when the ants meet each other, they know exactly if this guy is a part of their colony or not. If they're a stranger, they attack right then and there. They also get backup, so they attack with more soldiers. Life has no meaning anymore. They only have to kill each other. It's not always a fair fight either. It could be giant ants fighting with small ants. In this situation, the bigger ant will win. But if they're an even fight, the winner is the one that's farther from the colony, because the one that's closer to the colony has to get back up and has to retreat back inside the colony, and the war goes inside the colony. And the ones that retreat back to the colony are usually the losers. And the war is not over until one side of the ants is completely dead. And they don't take no prisoners or slaves to take back. Most ant colonies have a lookout and are watching out for threats. If they see bigger ants attacking their way, they immediately go back to the colony and say, we have to escape, because if we stay, we're doomed. In this situation, the entire colony starts to leave. There's a type of ant called the leafcutter ant. This society has a few types of ants. The workers are normal ants that do normal work. But the soldiers are giant because they're 100 times the worker's size. The leafcutter ant is not afraid of anything. They might be weaker than other ants, but they're not afraid of anybody. The only ant that has the guts to fight the leafcutter ant is an army ant. They're not any bigger, but they surprise attack. They know when to attack to have a surprise going on for the colony. When the workers see a war going on, they don't just stand still and just watch. They enter the battlefield and start to have a war. If the army ants are able to make the leafcutter ants retreat into their colony, the goal is not to kill every leafcutter. If they reach the storage of where they keep the food, that's all they want. They want to steal that and bounce out of there. And they don't care if they kill every ant or not. The war between ants is everywhere, from your garden to sands or the beach, in the tree, on the leaves, even in the cracks of the sidewalk. And there's nobody that comes in between them to have them have a peace conference. They should somehow unite like humans and be friends with each other. Although humans are very bad at this as well, so we shouldn't be talking about that. We've gotten some suggestions to make a video about another dinosaur. In this video, we're gonna look at the most vicious dinosaur, and it happens to be the most famous dinosaur, Tyrannosaurus Rex, or also known as T-Rex. When you look at the T-Rex, you think you're confronted with the most vicious animal, and that's very true. The way the T-Rex looks matches the way it acts. Just like the way it looks evil, it has an evil personality. This animal didn't live for very long, at least to the standards of the planet Earth. The T-Rex has lived on Earth since 90 million years ago, and 66 million years ago, it went extinct alongside the other dinosaurs. Do you see this giant animal? Its brain is the same as a chicken. In this little amount of brain power, it's wired to protect its eggs, protect itself, and anything it's confronted with to attack it. As you know, T-Rexes were carnivores. In a family of T-Rexes, the jobs are separated. The male is responsible for protecting the home, the eggs, and the kids, and the female has to go hunt down and get food to the family. Even though its brain power is very low compared to its body, but for hunting and killing, it's very efficient. Scientists believe that the T-Rex vision was extremely strong and it could see everything around it. Its eyeball was the same size as a baseball. Its vision was so powerful that in an open area, it could see as far as 6 kilometers. The eyes are set in a way that it could see more than 300 degrees around itself. And you could say the only place it couldn't see was directly behind them. And that is why no animal could really surprise the T-Rex, because it was already ready to fight. When the T-Rex got hungry, it attacked anything. It never thought that this thing is bigger and it's gonna kill me, or this one could really damage me. Just like we said, its brain is so slow that it only attacks for food, and it does not think about the consequences. It will either eat the thing or die trying. Ankylosaurus, a herbivore dinosaur that looked like a tank. There was very thick skin all over this animal, and it had a vest on the back that looked like a bulletproof vest. And worst of all, the back tail had a hammer on it, and anyone that tries to attack it, it will use that as a weapon. This was one of those dinosaurs that the T-Rex would attack without thinking, and this thing would show T-Rex what's up. Even if the Tyrannosaurus was successful in killing this animal, it would have done a lot of damage to the T-Rex, because the T-Rex attacks with the mouth, and this one would hit it right in the face. Anywhere this hammer would hit would destroy it. If the T-Rex would get too close, the Ankylosaurus would hit the T-Rex in the foot, and it would actually break it. Nobody told the T-Rex to not attack this thing. It's just a herbivore and doesn't hurt anybody. But the T-Rex has very low IQ. Ankylosaurus went through evolution and it turned out like this. This was a herbivore and it always got killed because it had no protection. But it went through evolution. It got very thick skin that looked like a bulletproof vest, and it got a hammer at the end of its tail. None of this is for the animal to get food. It's just to protect itself. In evolution, the T-Rex got very strong vision and a very strong sense of smell. Even though it has a very small brain, but most of the brain power is used for smelling and seeing far away, but it doesn't do much else. When a T-Rex would smell meat from a far distance, its brain would tell it to go towards that way. And it doesn't really know where exactly or what the meat is, because the brain power is not strong enough to detect that. As you know, dogs have a very strong sense of smell, especially these German Shepherds. Scientists believe that if you put 100 German Shepherds together, it has the same power of smelling as a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That was insane, so it could smell anything from a very far distance. And a lot of scientists believe that the T-Rex has the strongest sense of smell in history of the planet Earth. For an animal like this, having these set of tools is useful, and I'm talking about the sense of smell, because it can smell food from a very far distance. But this thing was very low IQ. If it smelled meat, it might have passed through fire to get to it. When the T-Rex was heading towards the smell, and another dinosaur all of a sudden showed up in front of him, he would forget about the smell. There's a new decision in its brain, and that's to kill this dinosaur in front of him. In the movies, they portrayed the T-Rex correctly, because anything it's confronted with, it wants to kill it. So who was the real enemy of the T-Rex? You might be thinking of something way bigger, or the Mosasaurus, which we made a video about. But it's none of that. It's much smaller than the T-Rex. This guy, the Triceratops. They say this dinosaur is very similar to the rhino we know. It has 2 horns and 1 small horn on its nose. It was a lot smaller than the T-Rex. It was 8 meters in length, 3 meters tall, and it weighed around 6 tons. And that makes it about 1 ton lighter than the T-Rex. Triceratops is smaller than T-Rex, but it's not afraid, because it also wants to go to war to kill the T-Rex for some food. And as you know, the Triceratops is a carnivore as well. If there were cameras during the dinosaurs, you could have seen one of the best battles between animals, and that was between the Triceratops and the Tyrannosaurus Rex. They believe in history, whenever these two were confronted with one another, the Triceratops was usually the winner, because before they went extinct, for every 10 Triceratops, there was only 1 T-Rex. And the population number shows us that the Triceratops was the better fighter. The reason the Triceratops would win is because of the massive horns it had. It had two 1 meter long horns, and it would easily insert it in the body of the T-Rex. The Triceratops also had a very giant and strong skull because it was so strong that it wouldn't allow the T-Rex to grab the body of the Triceratops. The only thing the T-Rex could do is break off the horn. But at that point, the Triceratops would poke it with the other one. Either way, the female that went to get food got killed and the father and the kids starved. And this was the story of the most vicious dinosaur in the world, and everybody believes that this was the strongest one as well. But even though it was this strong and powerful, it would always die because of stupidity. A lot of people believe that lions are the king of the jungle. If you're speaking about power, you're wrong, because a tiger is more powerful. But some say the lion has a good heart, like for example, it doesn't attack a pregnant animal. But that's also wrong, because if this thing is hungry, it will attack anything. So we now know that the tiger is the most powerful animal in the cat family. If you've seen our tiger video, you'll get to know this animal a little better. But today, we're gonna talk about its cousin, a cat that's a little different because of the place it resides in. Jaguar. It's smaller than a lion and a tiger, but it has the most powerful jaw in the cat family. Jaguar is only founded in the Americas, and this is the map of it. But tigers were only found in Asia, and that means millions of years ago they were in the same family, and because of Earth separating, these two were separated for life. And this thing went to America, this one stayed in Asia, and that is why they've evolved differently. But let's talk about the subject that this video is all about, Jaguar. Jaguar is a predator that will kill things bigger than itself. In its whole history, bigger animals would always run away from this thing because its speed, power, and jaw would make huge animals shiver. Just imagine the small ones. There was an ancient sloth called the megafauna. Megafauna was a giant animal. It was the size of an elephant, but anytime a jaguar would see one of these, they would kill it. When you see a jaguar from afar, you see what a beautiful animal, cute, and you kind of want to go up to it and start petting it. But as much as it's cute and beautiful, it has the same amount in power, and it doesn't want to see you living. A crocodile doesn't really stand a chance against this thing in terms of speed, because this thing does not let him bite back. And before it does anything, the jaguar already has the crocodile's skull in its jaw. And unlike other cats that attack the stomach or neck area, this thing attacks the skull. And that's all thanks to that powerful jaw. Scientists believe that the jaguar came from the clouded leopard about 14 million years ago. But this thing used to live in Asia. They believe that 1 million years ago it came to the Americas, and most of its differences happened in America because it was a land that was way different than Asia, and that is why it created a cat that's way different. When there is a tiger or lion somewhere, everybody knows because they show themselves. But this one is very sneaky. It will come up to its prey that it won't even let it move. When it attacks all of a sudden, it usually grabs the neck and snaps it, so the prey dies quicker. A Siberian tiger is the biggest one in the cat family. And look at it next to a jaguar. Which one do you think has the more powerful jaw? Or which one is more dangerous? We have to know that the jaguar is more dangerous and has a more powerful jaw. If something powerful gets in a fight with a tiger, there's a chance it will survive. But a jaguar will not let anyone survive. We said a lot about the jaguar's jaw, but we have to say the power is 1500 psi, and that's 105 kilograms per square centimeters. And that is why if it's hungry, it could even eat turtles. It has such a powerful jaw that it will literally break the shell. A jaguar evolved in a way that around 200,000 years ago, it had a more powerful and fatter body. But since humans came around, they didn't leave much food around for these guys, because humans would eat the foods jaguars eat, and since there was not enough prey, it had to hunt small animals. And that is why they got smaller but sneakier. And their jaws got way more powerful. Right now, jaguars eat deer, crocodiles, or these little cute animals that are called capybara. But don't think they only eat these. If they see a monkey, it's not gonna forgive it. Or as we said, if it sees a turtle, it doesn't leave it. And even if it sees a human, it doesn't take it easy. A new food has entered the jaguar's diet, and that's thanks to humans: domestic cattle. And as you know, Brazil is one of the countries with the most amount of cows. A cow is way bigger than this thing, but it does not stand a second against it. Jaguars really like these milks, but it's hard for them because these cows have owners, and their owners are extremely dangerous. And that is why they continuously kill these things, so they don't eat their cows. And they see the jaguar's furs are so expensive, they also kill them for that. Around 50 to 60 years ago, under Canada, that was filled with jaguar. But right now in the US, it's very rare. And most of them are in Southern America and the Amazon. And the US-Mexico border also causes them to have a smaller population in the United States. And this is the biggest issue of the jaguar population in the US. This stat is real. In 1960, the jaguar population was 300,000. But since it started eating the cattle and the skin is valuable, they're an endangered species. And right now, there's only around 15,000 jaguars in the world. But environmentalists in North and South America, especially the US, is working on it for it to not go extinct. They also give a very powerful explanation and example. They say a jaguar should not end up like the Caspian tiger. They kind of have a way to put a male and a female jaguar in each other's ways so they can mate naturally. If a jaguar wants to run fast, it has a speed of 80 kilometers an hour, but that's only for 1 minute. But that's all it really needs, because in 1 minute, it will catch its prey no problem. The maximum lifespan of a jaguar is only 15 years. Let me tell you about its eyes. Jaguar's eyes is 6 times more powerful than a human eye. and that means at night it could easily kill. Jaguars like to live alone, and unlike other predators that are in groups, these guys prefer to be alone. But it has its territory, and it marks it with its urine, and it also marks trees with its claws. Their maximum weight is around 113 kilograms. If you measure a fully grown jaguar, from the tip of its nose to the tip of its tail is 2 meters and 40 centimeters. You might ask, how does a male and female mate? They look at each other from afar, meaning one is in one territory and the other one it's another territory. Then, if they like each other, they approach each other and begin to mate. But after mating, they leave each other alone once again. If the female gets pregnant, it will have the babies and keep them for 2 years. But after 2 years, they gotta go live on their own. A lot of people in North America and all the way down to the tip of South America believe that jaguars are the king of the jungle. You guys saw what it did to the crocodile. Do you guys believe that this is the king of the jungle? There are a lot of weird animals in the world. From small to large, fat and skinny, in water and on land, and also in the air. But there are weirder animals. For example, the giant panda that everybody knows and loves. First of all, we have to know that a panda is a bear, but it's a bear that differs from all the other bears. Even though bears are carnivores, but pandas evolved in a way where they only eat bamboos because that was the only thing available to them. They ate bamboos for so long that they got used to it and only eat that. Bears are supposed to eat meat, and that is why pandas never get full, and they spend 50% of their time eating. So what is this bamboo that these animals eat? Bamboo is a tall, thick grass. It is very low in protein, but very high in fiber. As we said, bears are meat eaters, but pandas evolved in a way where they only eat bamboos. And even though 99% of their diet is bamboo, they still can't digest it properly. Depending on their size, pandas eat from 10 to 20 kilograms of bamboo. This is a panda's cousin, but if you put a bamboo in front of him, he will get mad and say, "What the hell are you feeding me?" But the panda eats the bamboo. In the beginning, we said it's one of the weirdest animals. Why is that? Because this carnivore only eats bamboos. Scientists examined a panda's body, and they said this is a carnivore's body and they should only eat meat. A panda's jaw is a lot stronger compared to other bears, and the reason for that is it only ate bamboos, and bamboos are known to be a lot harder than meat. This diet that this animal has a lot of bowel movements as well. Rest of a panda's time is either sleeping or going to the bathroom. And their trips to the bathroom are extremely long because they can't properly digest the bamboo. Eating bamboo has a lot of bad things because it's a really hard material, and that is why when pandas are going to the bathroom, they experience pain as well. And another bad thing, they can't release it all at once in a day. They have to go to the bathroom 100 times a day. Another weird thing about pandas is that they eat about 20 kilograms of food a day, but they also release 20 kilograms a day. It seems like its body takes the food and packages it up and releases it. Since these poor animals don't eat a lot of proteins, they're always tired. Everybody thinks pandas are lazy, but their diet is so bad that it doesn't give them any energy to move around properly. It only gives them a little bit of energy, which is used for moving around and chewing the food itself. This bear split up from its family 8 million years ago and is living in China ever since. A place where it only found bamboo, and over this time it only liked bamboo. Even though it doesn't give him any energy, it doesn't make him full, it can't even go to the bathroom properly, and when it has a baby, it looks like this. Pandas' newborns are always very small and light and has to be very well taken care of. A panda's newborn is a lot smaller than other bears, and they're born blind, and they could weigh as little as 150 grams. Just imagine a 150-gram bear. When a human baby is born, it weighs around 3 kilograms. And other bear babies weigh around 1 kilogram. When you look at a baby panda next to its mother, it is the biggest size difference in the animal kingdom. Another reason a baby panda is this small is because the bamboo causes the oxygen in the mother's blood to be very low, and that's why the baby comes out extremely small. But when it comes out, it grows rapidly. Other bears always hibernate, meaning the food they eat has enough protein and fat to keep them full for the entire winter. But pandas and their precious bamboo can't do this. The more they eat, it's still not enough. So there is no sleepy time. The whole year they have to eat and take naps. Scientists say polar bears are white because they live near the snow. Black and brown bears are that color because it matches their environment as well. But a panda is black and white, and scientists believe the reason for that is their body has such low energy levels they can't decide between a color, so it just chooses both. A panda should really be brown or black because of its environment, but it turned out two color. This map that you see is where the pandas live. Nowhere else except here you will find a panda. In the beginning, nobody cared about pandas. But in the 1990s, the Chinese government realized that this animal is a symbol for China and they're very endangered. And that is why they went to take control, and I mean really in control, because there was less than 1,000 pandas left. But right now, they doubled that number, so it's around 1,800 pandas in the wild, and there's also 400 pandas in zoos. But all these pandas belong to China. There are no pandas that don't belong to China. China doesn't sell the panda to anybody, they just rent them out. You might not believe it, but famous zoos around the world pay up to $1 million a year to have this animal there. But that's just to show it. But this panda needs its own physician, and that costs $500,000 a year. It's a good thing that they didn't let this animal go extinct, and every 10 years, the population grows by 17%. You might ask, why don't they feed them meat? Even though it has a carnivore's body, but over millions of years, it got used to eating bamboos. And that is why if you put meat in front of it, they wouldn't be interested. It would be like if you go up to a tiger and try to feed them bamboo. They might get angry at you and attack. Even though a lot of people don't care about this animal, I'm glad they didn't let it go extinct. Other countries should learn how to take care of an animal and not let it go extinct. Kinda like the Caspian tiger or the Asian lion, which is almost an endangered species.